Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining me tonight. Here's another impromptu episode of Exploring Avatar. It's just me today, no Drew, but I thought there were like so many details on the special features revealed, and not a lot of places reporting on it. So I thought, why not just make a quick live stream tonight, and then just give you guys all the details. So welcome. Uh, Hi to Christina, Brennan Lewis. Uh, Thank you for joining us. And yeah, so today they announced that we're gonna get the digital release. So we finally have information on the home release for this because we've been waiting for a little bit. Oddly enough, there's no details on a potential physical release, which is odd. Usually they give you the digital release, and sometimes it's like a month before the physical. But this time it was the first time I've seen that for a major movie. I don't know if they've done it yet for smaller. Um, that really there's no physical date, in mind at the moment. So that's kind of concerning for any of you or anybody that likes to collect physical media still, like have your Blu-ray disc or your 4K discs. But and no Disney Plus release. So they really are making you, go and still buy it, because I mean, if they didn't, they'd be leaving money on the table. I mean, it is the third highest grossing movie of all time, so of course, why not just put it out there right now for people to only have the option to buy it, and make even more money. Why not? It'd be kind of, you know it's pretty easy. So yeah, no Disney Plus release date and no physical release date, but we do have the digital, and at least it is not a bare bones edition. They claimed over 3 hours of special features, and like I said, we're going to dive into exactly what they all are, so you guys know exactly what you'll be getting if you're, going to be purchasing this digitally on March 28th. So let me put that on the screen for anybody that isn't aware. It is March 28th is the release date. So this month, towards the end of the month, and you can purchase it, on all your digital platforms, whether it's like iTunes or Vudu, through Amazon, what have you. And yeah, so I went to many different websites, and they would just report like this is the release date and that it's supposed to have over 3 hours of special features. And they would kind of vaguely tell you a couple things, but really no other place was giving you kind of like the full details of what they all are. So I just thought it would be a fun stream. So if you guys are into that, we will get started. But let's see. Christina says, I can barely remember the last time I even held a physical copy of a movie. So is it a DVD, says Sebastian. So no, this is only a digital release. So all these special features and everything will only be available as of now on your digital purchase of it on March 28th. So you should be, wherever you bought it from, there should be an extras section where you can access all of these. I know it's not as easy as just, going to the extras, little section on your disc, but most of these streaming platforms that you purchase it on should have the option on there to just go to the extras tab. So hopefully it's easy for everybody to get to them. But back to Christina's point, I mean, I have a giant physical collection, but I mean, I think you're right. I haven't actually popped in one of my discs in so long. Like, pretty much if I want to watch any movie, I just check, because I'm subscribed to every streaming service. So first I just go and check if it's on one of them, and usually they are. So pretty much I just stream it that way. If they weren't, then I would either, put the disc in or just choose something else. But I mean, it's always still nice to have the physical collection, even though I finally myself, I will admit, for most things, it's just more convenient to go digital. But I mean, you never know, the day you don't have access to internet or something, they'll come in handy. Hello to Brianna Brown. Hello to Steve McCoy. I see some more people coming in. No, Steve McCoy. It does not mean it'll be on Disney Plus around that time. So, like I said, oddly enough, no release date for a physical version and no release date on the Disney Plus. Because right now they want to make more money with it, which is understandable, and they know they will. So they'll put it up for purchase on March 28th. No word yet on when they'll put it on Disney Plus for you to access if you're already a subscriber. But yeah, let's go through all of the special features that we're set to be getting and the full descriptions of them and see what you guys think along the way. Yeah, sorry, Brendan Lewis. Yeah, no Disney Plus at the moment. It's only for a purchase. So I believe these are around $25 to $30, depending maybe on your streaming service. But usually, yeah, expect to pay between 25 to 30 on March 28th or after, whenever it is you choose to purchase it. So at the moment, that's going to be the only way. Let's see. I can't wait for information to come out. Any scenes that got cut. That's going to be an interesting thing as we go through the special features. So let's start going through them. Like I said, I'll give you full details. That way you know exactly what you're getting when you buy this movie. Not only are you getting the movie, but we get over 3 hours of content. And that's good because don't forget that for the first movie, we had to wait up until about April after the first movie came out. So it was even like a month longer, a couple weeks longer, what have you. But it was a bare bones edition. It was literally just the theatrical movie and no special features at all. Maybe there was like a trailer, but who really, I don't even know why they put those on the movie. On the disc. I never understood that. I don't think I've ever actually clicked to watch the trailer to the movie that I already own. But yeah, at least it's over 3 hours because that's what I was just asking for. Like, please don't make us wait up until the end of the year or longer for these documentaries or featurettes. So let's start going through it. Basically, they're going to be split into 3 different main categories. And the first one is the biggest, so we're going to go through that one. So the first main category is called Inside Pandora's Box. And you're going to see the word Pandora just repeated all over the place. So basically what these are, as we go through the list of all the featurettes, basically what Inside Pandora's Box is going to hold is a series of different featurettes on the different challenges facing the cast and crew as filmmakers devise new technologies to push the limits of cinema. Okay. So in this broad category of Inside Pandora's Box, our first one that we have is Building the World of Pandora. So it says James Cameron and a team of talented artists combined years of research with their design skills to build the world of Pandora with new characters, creatures, indigenous clans, underwater environments, and the take no prisoners hard tech world of the RDA. So this might just be like your broad, that kind of looks like it covers a little bit of like every section, which later on different featurettes are just going to go deeper into each of these. But this featurette right here looks like it's just kind of like a broad sense. We don't get run times, so I don't know if any one is specifically like really long, like 30 minutes, 20, like what do they average? I don't know running times. I just have what they are and the full description. In the collector's edition in the first movie, it was a big main documentary. And then even then, if you just wanted to only watch a certain portion of it, they even like sectioned it off. So it could be that a big documentary here is just called Inside Pandora's Box. And then each of these different things that we're going to see, it's just that broken up if you just only want a particular section. Or there's just no broad documentary and all it is you having to access different featurettes, to basically, at the end of the day, if you binge them, you basically watched a big documentary on the making of it. So this is the first section of Inside Pandora's Box. So the second one is Capturing Pandora. So James Cameron's approach to performance capture has the cast performing in a volume rigged with infrared cameras to capture their movement and head rig cameras to capture emotion on their faces with only the boundaries of imagination to limit them. So basically, the featurette just completely about the motion capture, in the volume, everything that has to do with the volume. I don't think it's really the underwater. I think this is mostly just the everything that's a forest, everything that's except water, I believe is going to be captured in this one because there's water specific ones later on in the list. So far, what are you guys thinking so far? There's a lot more to cover. Why does Pandora's box sound familiar? It says Afton Child. It's kind of like from Greek mythology, Pandora's box, and they always say, don't open Pandora's box. So yeah, it's from Greek. Yeah, there you go, Brendan. Greek mythology. I want to see some extra new scenes I haven't seen yet. For anybody that was thinking that it might include some cut scenes or deleted scenes, I would just say right now, before we go through all of them, there is no deleted scenes or cut scenes or alternate scenes. There's nothing. So you're only going to get featurettes across the board and things of that sort, which is kind of odd because in that first one we had tons and tons of either deleted or alternate scenes. And I know they've talked about different ones, even like the art book mentions a couple times, like, oh, like the Pandoran otter. This was the scene that was cut. Kiri was just playing with the Pandoran otter, and they fully designed it and created a CG version, but they just cut the scene. So I assumed it was going to be on the home release, but it looks like it's not. Maybe that's a potential even future release that'll have some of these deleted sections, or they're just planning to never really release them to us. So I don't know. That one's going to be an interesting one to watch. So let's continue here. Then inside of this Pandora's box, the next section is the undersea world of Pandora. So co-production designer Dylan Cole and his team conceive of the marine creatures required for Avatar: The Way of Water, while James Cameron and his stunt team devise extraordinary means to bring those creatures to life in a performance capture tank. So this is going to be all about like the different, because Dylan Cole, don't forget, he was in charge of the whole, anything that kind of had to do with the design of Pandora, while Ben Proctor was leading the team designing everything for the RDA. So there was like two separate teams that had a different focus. So this one's going to be about like looking like their role in designing like the new creatures and things for the ocean. And then obviously, like it says, you'll see how the stunt team and James Cameron kind of figured out how to bring some of those creatures to life in terms of, having the actors perform them with performance capture, kind of like all the rigs and everything. Then you'll have the challenges of Pandora's waters. James Cameron tackles the non-trivial challenge of performance capture above and below the water surface, utilizing a wave machine and current generator to reproduce ocean conditions, and underwater vehicles to replicate creature movement. So this is going to be all about the performance capture, whether it was on this, like they said, on the surface of the water or under the water. So we'll get to see how that all really came to be. We've seen little snippets here and there in the promotional materials. So the other featurette we looked at was kind of like in the volume. It's just all the dry land stuff. And this one's going to specifically be about everything that had to do with performance capture on the water or in the water. And then we have Pandora's returning characters. So James Cameron reunites with his returning cast, Sam Worthington, Zoe Saldana, Sigourney Weaver, and Stephen Lang. Together, they discuss the amazing evolution of the characters in Avatar: The Way of Water. It's probably just like a little round table discussion between them. So I mean, still very interesting. I'm liking that we're kind of getting a featurette for like all the different things that we would like to know. So they really didn't miss anything yet. Steve McCoy says, I love all the behind the scenes stuff. The more the merrier. Bring it on. Exactly. I'm a huge behind the scenes or making of movie fan. Like sometimes I end up watching those a lot more than I ever rewatch the actual movies. I don't know. I just uh it just fascinates me, like all the intricacies of how they, did everything. Not only for the Avatar franchise, but other franchises like the Lord of the Rings ones were great, behind the scenes. Those gave you, oh my God, like those extended editions gave you like hours upon hours. I'm talking about 6+ hours of bonus features. It was crazy. So I think that's like the peak of behind the scenes was like the Lord of the Rings trilogy, the Hobbit trilogy, and then the King Kong film he made. I don't know why I have a soft spot for that film. That extended edition also had like 6-7 hours worth of behind the scenes. And it's funny because it's a lot of the same people that are working on the Avatar movies, because it's, the basically the visual effects company that he kind of founded when they were creating the Lord of the Rings movie, Weta Effects, Weta Digital, Weta Workshop. They're all the same people that James Cameron's working on for the digital effects, for creating some of the physical props and everything. So it's some of the same people, I loved it between them, so it's good. Yeah, Steve McCoy, yeah. The Lord of the Rings stuff and the King Kong, yeah. It was really great. So we'll keep going here. Pandora's Next Generation. Meet the talented young newcomers who have been cast as the next generation of Na'vi and follow them through the adventure of making Avatar the Way of Water. So this is a cool new one, about all the new characters, all the new cast. So that's going to be cool. I like the younger cast. So that's going to be interesting right there. Spider's Web. James Cameron introduced the human character of Spider into the fabric of Pandora, thus creating a host of technological challenges on set and an incredible journey for the young actor Jack Champion. So this one will be interesting because we'll get to see, because he kind of had to do everything twice, because he was still with them when the kids were doing their performance capture, because that was the first thing they did, was all the performance capture for Avatar 2 and 3, and then later on they did all the live action. But he had to still be on set, apparently, just to kind of be there and do the scenes with them still. And then he had to come back years later and do the live action and kind of redo all those scenes again. Now, and looking older, because when they cast him, he was like really tiny. So that's going to be interesting to see that journey. So that'll be a interesting featurette right there. Becoming Na'vi, the Avatar cast is immersed in the culture of the indigenous Na'vi, living off the land in the Hawaiian rainforest and training in a multitude of disciplines in preparation for their roles. So this one, I had posted pictures, and we've done streams like months and months ago, where I had some pictures up of when they kind of did a research trip to Hawaii, similar to how they did a research trip before they did the performance capture on the first movie, just so that all the actors kind of, can remember what it was like to be out in the rainforest, is what, his explanation is. And so, yeah, all the cast went out there to Hawaii. So we're going to get to actually see some of that, and probably some of the training, maybe the breath hold training and things like that as well. The Reef People of Pandora. So in true James Cameron style, the Metkayina Reef clan has been developed with great attention to detail, bearing unique evolutionary traits and a culture, with new dwellings, new clothes, and different way of life, all a result of living off the ocean. So it's going to be a whole featurette just all about, the Metkayina and just the reef type of Navi in general. So it's going to be super interesting, all the new stuff we want to learn. Hopefully these featurettes kind of give us new info that either the art book or the visual dictionary don't kind of give us. So that's going to be super interesting to dive into. Let's see. Oh, Steve McCoy says Jack Champion actually watched Avatar 2 in the same theater we went to. Miss seeing him by a day. Oh, wow, that's very interesting, man. Brandon says, love the friendship between Spider and Kiri. Yeah, and we even see it in we're doing the read through of Volume 2, which we'll do the complete rest of the volume on Friday. So that will be coming on Friday. And you do really see it, as we're reading right now through Volume 2. It's very apparent there, even in Volume 1, just throughout the whole thing, and even in the movie itself. So that'll be a bond that probably keeps growing as the movies go on. So let's continue here. We have bringing Pandora to life. Once James Cameron completes his virtual production process, every sequence is turned over to Weta Effects to bring Pandora to life, with unprecedented advancements in facial performance, environments, and making CG water look real. So this is probably going to be one of my favorite ones to dive into, just because seeing Weta Digital, or now it's called Weta Effects, work their magic in all these different behind the scenes for all these different movies that we mentioned. It's just like one of my favorite parts. And especially for this one, I mean, kind of raising the bar again. So it's going to be super interesting to watch this, and all about the visual enhancements of CGI and things like that. So that's going to be super interesting to watch. We have the RDA returns to Pandora. Co-production designer Ben Proctor and his team present an armada of new vehicles and human technologies that the RDA brings to Pandora in concept design and with practical builds. So this one's going to dive into fully, like I was saying, Ben Proctor was leading the team. That's fully all about the RDA. So we're going to see all about him and his team, work out all the new things for the RDA. The new characters of Pandora meet the important new characters of the Avatar saga, played by Kate Winslet, Cliff Curtis, Edie Falco, Brendan Cow, and Jermaine Clement. So, aside from the young cast, we had these new ones as well. So, we're going to learn about, these actors playing Ronal, Tonowari, General Ardmore, things like that. So, that'll be interesting as well. Then we get the sounds of Pandora. Hear how James Cameron worked with composer Simon Franklin to create the distinctive music of The Way of Water while building on James Horner's brilliant score for Avatar, and learn how Chris Boyes created the immersive sounds of Pandora. This one's going to be really interesting as well, because the soundtrack was awesome, and you still heard, the certain themes from James Horner's score from the first movie in there. And then especially the little part there at the end about Chris Boyes and then creating the different immersive sounds of Pandora. That's not something we really have heard about throughout the promotional thing. So that's going to be interesting to see what those are all about as well. Let's see here. Let me add one more slide that I missed. Just give me 1 second, guys. Let me just add this in here. All right, here we go. And then we get New Zealand, Pandora's home. I told you we're going to see the word Pandora a lot. The production of the Avatar sequels is so thoroughly ensconced in New Zealand that James Cameron considers The Way of Water a New Zealand film. Here, reflections from the cast and crew, including the remarkable New Zealand crew, on making the film. So, like I said, just like in the Lord of the Rings and all those Peter Jackson movies with the great behind the scenes, New Zealand was also front and center then, and it's great to have another featurette and getting to see it again. It's a place I do want to visit in the future, just for all of this, and visit the Weta shop and all that, and just to be there and visit some locations of the all the other Peter Jackson films that he's made, and it just looks like a beautiful country. So excited to see this featurette as well. All right. And then, so that was all in that first section that I said was called Inside Pandora's Box. And our second section is more from Pandora's Box, which are additional featurettes that highlight special teams within the production. So we'll get a casting featurette, so discover the screen test that won the talented young cast their roles in Avatar: The Way of Water. So you'll get to see the screen test for all the young actors, when they're trying to get the role. So those will be pretty cool to see. You'll have a featurette on the stunts. So the Avatar stunt team isn't just creating breathtaking action, they're driving the story. From racing underwater on Ilus, flying the skies on Ikrans, to maneuvering RDA speedboats, the stunt team leaves you breathless and wanting more. And that's a great that we're going to have a whole featurette, just a shout out to the stunt crew and the stunt people who sometimes go, with the spotlight not on them. So that's going to be great right there. We're going to get the lab, Explore Lightstorm Lab, the backbone of virtual production for the Avatar films. Comprised of specialized teams, the lab builds and supports every aspect of the production. Environments, motion edit, kabuki, sequence, post-viz, and software development. And then lastly, the troupe. Avatar's troupe is the Swiss Army knife of acting. While playing dozens of roles on set, in the performance capture volume, and on live action sets, they bring life to Na'vi clans and RDA recoms. They also play Na'vi scale puppets on the live action sets. So like I said, this is for a lot of those where the spotlight is not shown on a lot of these people that have played a lot of, even the main characters, they don't do all the work all the time. Sometimes there's these, different stunt performers and things like that occasionally are doing some of the movements that you see your main characters do, Neytiri, Jake, things like that. So this looks like it's going to show some of that as well. So that's the complete second section with even more featurettes. And then the very last section of all the bonus features are right here. So you just get marketing materials and the music video. So you'll get the Nothing Is Lost, You Give Me Strength music video. So that's the music video with that song by The Weeknd. And then you'll get 2 trailers. Like I said, I never touch these trailers. Like, why? There's YouTube. Like, why even bother putting this in there? But it's okay. And that is it, guys. So that is everything that'll come if you buy the digital version of Avatar: The Way of Water on March 28th. So that's all over 3 hours of special features. So what do you guys think? Pretty pumped for it. Like I said, I'm so excited, and that's going to be a lot of material to discuss and dive into. And yeah, so those will be some fun streams that we can do, just going over them and talking about them. Phoenix asks, has the aspect ratio been confirmed? I haven't seen anything about that. There could be somewhere out there some specifications on it. I know the only things I saw was that it is going to have like Dolby Vision and Dolby Atmos. If you have a setup that supports Dolby Atmos at your house, Dolby Atmos is the best. That is like my favorite type of sound system. Like Watching this movie in 3D in the Dolby Cinema was incredible. And obviously, if you have a TV capable of 4K with Dolby Vision, with all that HDR and everything, it's gonna look amazing as well. So yeah, guys. So those were all the special features. Let's see. Steve McCoy says all the special features definitely makes the purchase worth it. Yeah, because yes, obviously we've seen the movie, and if it was a bare bones, uh, I would probably still buy it because obviously we want to see the movie again. But for me to repurchase, I mean to buy a movie, a lot of times the selling point for me are the special features. So for me, this is great. I'll shell out the $25 to $30, even if it was only the special features and I didn't even get the movie. But we'll get the movie and over 3 hours of special features. So to me, that sounds like a good deal. I'm okay with dropping money because who knows? I don't know if these features. I don't think they'll make Disney Plus, and this is great because I was starting to worry that because recently with the Marvel movies they do documentaries for them, but they're Disney Plus exclusive documentaries. Also, they kind of do it with the Mandalorian. Like they'll give you I think it's called like Design Gallery or something, where it's kind of like the behind the scenes for the Mandalorian. So all these documentaries are Disney Plus exclusives. And I was telling Drew that my worry was that a lot of this, like if they did make a documentary or behind the scenes, that it would maybe be a condensed one, maybe just an hour long, and they would just be a Disney Plus exclusive, like you wouldn't be able to own it. So even though it's only digital and that's the only way to buy it, no physical as of yet, it's still great that we're going to get hours and hours of special features. That was my one concern. So I love that wasn't touched. So it kind of seems like right off the bat, you're getting like a collector's edition. So that's great. You don't have to wait even more months. The only thing, like I said, there's no deleted scenes, no cut scenes, no nothing. So those could potentially be waiting maybe for some kind of maybe even extended version of the movie if they ever are going to do an extended version. So that could be saved for then so that they can, be like, not only will you see an extended version of the movie, but we look at all these scenes that, we didn't add back in that now you can watch rough cuts as well. So yeah, Charlie Wood, there's no physical at the moment. Like I was saying when we started, there's no date for a physical or when it's going to be up on Disney Plus. So for right now, we have a digital only on March 28th, which you could purchase pretty much everywhere: iTunes, Vudu, Movies Anywhere, things like that, Amazon. Doesn't the digital and DVD versions of films earn more money at the total box office? No, it's calculated separately. So anything it does make now, it is get more money for them, but they don't count it towards the box office. Only whatever it makes while it's in theaters, even if it's a re-release, because I know people are like, oh, the re-release shouldn't matter. Anytime that somebody, whether you put the same movie out 50 times, if somebody was like, you know what, I'm going to shell out my money and go watch it for the 50th re-release time, that was still somebody spending their money to go see it in theaters. So yes, it should count for the total box office because it's seeing it in theaters. These, I understand, with not including, any home release money as at adding that to it. I understand that, but no matter how many times you release a movie, it should always be added on when it makes more money because that's people shelling out to make it. They re-release a lot of movies. People just don't go see them. Like there's a lot of them that get re-released. They just really make no money. So, because I know a lot of people were complaining, oh, the only reason, the first Avatar, went back to number one spot is because it re-released. I mean, it doesn't matter. Like, if people shell out to go see it, who cares how many times it's there? Heck, re-release, all the other movies as well. It doesn't matter. Like, if people want to shell out, they will. If not, they won't. So that's my 2 cents on that thing. But I'll just do a quick for anybody that kind of is joining us late. I'll do a quick run through again. But let me see what some of you guys are saying. I think Charlie Wood says, I think we'll see cutscenes in the same amount of time it took to release the collector's cut of the first Avatar, which was at least a year later, as I recall. Yeah, I believe it was within the same year, if I'm not mistaken. The bare bones release was in April, and I believe the collector's edition came out towards the end of the year, maybe December or November. I'm not too sure because I know it had its extended re-release, like the extended cut, which added 8 minutes to the movie. That was released in the summer, the following summer. So which for us, if this movie does the similar pattern, if it does it, that would mean like an extended cut might come to theaters this summer, and then a potential a home release of that extended cut later on by like December. But what they did there is they added an additional 8 minutes for a total of 16 when it came out for home release. So, Brandon Lewis, I still want to hear more about Frontiers. I'm sure all of us do, but that honestly, it's looking, unless they kind of do a surprise, during the summer. During the summer. I mean, E3 is kind of going away. The different studios are kind of just doing their own little showcases during the summertime. But if during the summer we don't have an announcement about the fall, I'm really thinking that it's going to be an early 2024 title. That's already so basically like a year from now is when I like Q1 of 2024. So exactly, Steve McCoy. Exactly. It wasn't a strategic re-release of Avatar that got it to pass Endgame, like you said. It was China actually, wanted to show the movie, so they said yes, and it just happened that it was really successful, and just in China alone, that re-release made like $50 million. To put that into perspective, when we finally did get like the 4K, this new re-release that released everywhere except China. So you see how they were fair. Like China, you had just gotten it in 2021. You're not getting it in 2022. So they actually didn't get that first batch of the re-release. They didn't get that until I believe December. They got to watch the first one remastered. But when it did get remastered for everybody else and we went to go see it, I think the collective total was about 65 million. So, I mean, look at that. China almost came up with that on its own in 2021 by itself, with 50 million. But yeah, so I'll do a quick run for anybody that joined us late. I'll do another quick rundown of the special features, and then we'll kind of call it a night. It's just a quick stream. I just kind of wanted to show you guys what you'd be getting, because I know a lot of websites out there that were reporting it and official posts weren't really posting the details of what the special features are. They were just telling you roughly around 3 hours or so. So like I said, the biggest first section is the inside Pandora's box. You're going to get a lot of featurettes. We're going to get the building the world of Pandora featurette. We're going to get the capturing Pandora, so all the performance capture on the dry land, not the water. So just in the volume. We're going to get the undersea world of Pandora, how they create all the creatures and things like that, like the probably the Tulkun, things like that. And we're getting Pandora's returning characters. So James kind of talks to all the returning cast that he has. Let's see here. We have Pandora's Next Generation, so about the young new cast that's coming in. And we have Spider's Web, so all about the, because he kind of had to shoot the movie twice. Once when everybody was doing the performance capture in their suits, and then he had to do all the live action work again when they actually started filming in live action. Becoming Navi. about their trip to a research trip to Hawaii and all the training they did there. All about the reef people, the Metkayina, basically designing them and their culture and everything all about them. Bringing Pandora to life. This one is about Weta effects and all the work they did on the CG and all that, and raising the bar. So that's going to be an interesting one. Let's see, all about the RDA. So a featurette all about the RDA and all the new designing they had to do on the new stuff. The new other characters, like the adult characters, like Ronal, Tonowari, General Ardmore, things like that. The scientists. All about the sounds, whether it's the score or even the immersive sounds of Pandora itself. And a featurette all about New Zealand and how it's basically the home of the Avatar saga, and James Cameron considers it a New Zealand film. And this is the whole second section, so it's more featurettes on different little things where we got the casting, the stunts, the lab, and the troupe. And then finally, we have the music video and two of the theatrical trailers. So that's what we get for anybody that joined us late. Let's see. Jaden says James Cameron said the Avatar Animal Kingdom is 2 generations ahead of the movies, and that some characters from the park would connect to the future movies. Yeah, like we've talked about it before, and we'll probably do one live stream in the future that fully dives into everything of what it is. But yeah, it's stated it's about 2 generations after the first movie. It's kind of like the story canon for it. And if you look up how long a generation lasts, they say about 30 years, because a generation's basically like how long it takes a newborn to get to basically being a fully fledged adult. So they basically the span of 30 years. So 2 generations, we're talking about 60 years after the first movie. If you do the math here really quick, if we go to the Pandora classroom, this Avatar: The Way of Water was 15 years after the first one. So from those 60 years, you take away 15, you're talking about 45 years after, where we're at right now, where the Way of Water ended. So, and basically the story of the park is basically everything's, fine. So the RDA and the Navi, not RDA, the humans, because the RDA is no more, basically okay. And when you visit the park, what you are doing is you are a human coming as a tourist to Pandora, to this Valley of Moara that is basically kind of like a hub for humans that come to visit. But basically you come to visit with to help restore Pandora from the wars that we're going to experience in all these movies. So all the damage that was done to Pandora, it's basically now there's you come and help do research, and you help and you learn all that, and take what you learn back to Earth. So it means, spoiler alert, like the land itself has been a spoiler this whole time, that at the end of the day it's going to be peaceful, the RDA is going to be no more, and Earth is going to be saved. Because if Earth, like they say in The Way of Water, is on the brink of dying, and if it did die, there would be no Earth to go back to, as a human tourist to Pandora 45 years in the future. So obviously everything goes okay. Earth gets saved. Somehow probably Mother Nature is restored. Who knows if it's Kiri or something. And we don't know. So it's just going to be the journey of getting there and seeing how that all comes about. Basically the dissolvement of RDA, because now there's 2 different. The main one is Ace and things like that. We can get fully into that in another stream. But yeah, you're right. It's 2 generations after the first movie. Yeah. Yeah, Jaden. They did say that basically the flight of passage was like you got to see a lot of the creatures from the way of water early. You got to see the elus, and then the confusing one because we didn't know the difference at the time. When you're first ride, when the like midway through the ride, you're kind of going through an ocean part, and the reef tribes right there we now know are not the Metkayina, so that's some other type of a reef village or something. It's completely different dwellings and things like that. But when you are flying over the ocean, you do see Elu, and you also see a Nalusa pop out. You didn't see a Nalusa in the way of water, interestingly. You only saw what was always described as its meaner cousin called the Akula, which was the one that was chasing Loak in that scene that was like very reminiscent to the Thanator chase in the first movie. So you saw the Nalusa early on kind of jumping out of the water. And then at the very end of the ride, if you remember, you're looking at a sunset out in the water and you see a Tulkun jump out of the water. But a lot of people thought it was the same type of whale like creature that they had seen earlier in the ride. Yet we didn't know that they were completely different. It's like the Tulkun was much more massive and a completely different creature that now we know what it is. So yeah, you got to see those like years early. We just didn't know what they really were. And they've talked about actually changing up because if anybody's familiar with Star Tours and like Disneyland, things like that, before, not part of the Star Wars land, but like it was before that when they just had a ride in the park. They used to basically have a different film basically that played. That there was like you didn't know which one you were gonna get. They always had like 3 or 4 different ones that you can get, and it was a completely different ride experience, and you were seeing different footage, like going through different planets. They've talked about, James Cameron said that he would like for them to basically like that update the movie to be different, and maybe it's something they can cycle through. Like most of the year, it's the normal one that and then maybe part of the year it could be a brand new like segment that makes it a completely different experience, and it's in with a lot more elements of what they just introduced in the new movie. So that'll be cool. Yeah, Charlie Wood. That's one thing. If we ever talk about like dislikes in the movie, I know Drew and I have talked about it. Sorry. My main dislike was a lot of the callbacks to the first movie. Like I get it, but some of them were just like almost shot by shot recreations, and especially in that scene with the Akula and Loak, like you, it turned me off from it completely. Like it took out the suspense because it was literally the Thanator chase all over again, to even down to when Jake goes and hides under the tree, and the roots of the tree are kind of like protecting him from the Thanator, and the Thanator is trying to reach in. It's the same thing when Loak goes into the coral and the Yakula is trying to get it. Like it was really pretty much the same. So that's the only thing I talked about with Drew. Like, and I know he shot 2 and 3 back to back, but that's the only thing I hope is that for the third movie they got away from a lot of these like callbacks. Because especially if you binge the first movie and the second movie like right after each other, you'll really notice them, and I think it's really going to take me out. So that those will be the only elements that don't age well for me. So I hope they just completely do original stuff going forward. But that's just my little nitpick. But yeah, guys, so that is everything we're going to cover here in this live stream. Not a full one, but I just thought it was interesting to let you guys know all the info and know what you're buying on the 28th. We'll fully talk about these even more once it comes out and we watch them and we can discuss them in a live stream. And yeah, man. So come join us regularly on this upcoming Friday, where we're gonna finish Volume 2 of the High Ground. So stay tuned for that. No, not High Ground tomorrow. High Ground on Friday, Charlie Wood. Yeah, so Friday night, Drew and I will completely finish that. So I'll work to make sure that no more cliffhangers on that one. We'll get it all done on Friday. So it could run a little longer, but we'll have the full rest of the volume. So Afton Child says Friday the 10th. Let me make sure. Yes, Friday the 10th. Yeah, 3 days from now, Friday the 10th. But yeah, so thank you guys for joining me on this just spur of the moment live stream. Just kind of wanted to give you that information in case you didn't see it from anywhere else. All right, guys. Thank you so much, and we'll talk about all these special features once it comes out and we watch it. We'll have much more to discuss, and look forward to finishing the High Ground with you guys on Friday. So have a good night, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me. Take care.